But Cammy, like, came up to me later and was like, Cassie, the group that sings the ending is named the Peggies. And I'm like, you are literally 5 years old.
Wow, that just
I really hope a 5-year-old
head.
doesn't know about that. Excuse you.
Oh, I'm sorry, a 12-year-old. I apologize.
Wow.
Oh, it's still unfortunate that but yeah, they would on
But
fanfiction sites.
I still giggled, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, wow, Cammy. You really went there.
They went all the way. The entire show is dedicated to butt stuff. It's great.
They even got the Peggies to sing the ending. If you don't know what pegging is, that could be a fun...
You didn't know what it was
I
until a
didn't
little
either.
while ago.
Cass,
I
you know?
didn't.
Cass didn't know what it meant.
I had no idea. I also told... To be fair,
don't
I also
know what it
told
means.
Cammy... Oh, John.
Don't do this to him.
Oh, honey.
Not on the podcast. You can do it later.
Anyway,
John, if it... Oh, yes, go
Urban
ahead.
Dictionary defines pegging as...
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to The Box. Why, what box, you ask? The Annie Chat Box, where 5 friends snuggle up in a teeny tiny space to talk about all things anime. My name is Cammy, and I am back to hosting after a mild extended break, and I'm very excited to welcome a full cast of co-hosts, and we will start with our producer extraordinaire, Cassie.
Oh, Soya!
Yes! Yes!
I'm so excited.
Accompanying her in being a pretty cool cop as far as icons go, anime cops, there is Craig in the next room over.
You're all under arrest.
For desire
Yes.
or love?
Yes. Both. That's the twist.
And the one probably getting really tired of the Ikuhara bullshit next to Cassie in their room is the one and only Dominic.
I'm watching the show too.
Oh, Soya!
You can watch it, but be tired of me referencing Ikuhara bullshit. You can do both.
That's true. You've got a really good point, Cammy. Thank you. Thank you for representing my feelings.
I'm glad I could help and do so.
We're an equal representation podcast.
Of course.
And across an ocean, giving us that good old British representation, it is the one, the only, the magnificent Jonathan Joestar.
Hello, everyone. Probably also got the most done with anyone shit icon in the group chat at the moment.
You know what? Now that I look at it, yeah, it fits. It fits. All right, so we're about to get started into one of my favorite kinds of episodes that we have on this podcast, and that is our seasonal splash tanks.
Woo!
If you have never been with us for a seasonal splash tank, let me just give you a quick rundown. So we're all on our own deserted islands, we're stranded, we're hungry, we're hot, we're exhausted, and then there is a bottle that comes up on each of our shores. And inside that bottle, there is a list of anime that have just premiered in the current season. In this case, it's spring season. And even though we're on a deserted island, we now have a new quest where we have to watch the first 3 episodes of the shows on our lists. And now we finally get to the point where we actually get to talk about those impressions based on watching the first 3 episodes. We are going to go on a round-robin order, and we will each bring up a show, and then after that, we will go around again till we each have covered our 3 impression picks. So, to start us off, and I'm so excited about this, I really wanted them to start us off, is Dominic. Please tell me about one of your spring picks for this season.
Okay, so I don't know why I'm being hyped up. Like, I don't understand.
Because you're so hypeable.
That's not true. This is false.
When I think hype, I think you.
I'm being given a false impression. This is...
We need air horns for whatever you're about to talk. Yeah. We'll just accompany you with air horns.
I'm too awkward to be hyped up. I don't... Anyways, my first show is the Production IG Netflix show, Ultraman.
Ooh.
which is a sequel to basically the very first Ultraman show that started the entire series. The synopsis is as follows. Shinjiro Hayata, son of Shin Hayata, who was the first Ultraman, has a natural special power. One day, Shinjiro was attacked by unknown enemies. Ultraman saved the day and unmasked himself to show Shinjiro that he was his father. Wearing an Ultraman suit provided by Mr. Ide, formerly a member of the SSSP, the Science Special Search Party, Shinjiro throws down the gauntlet and helps his father. Then the real battle commenced. This was something I was relatively excited about because it's a adaptation of a relatively nice looking manga from what I've seen. And also it is basically it's a rare type of like hero show that gets an actual animated adaptation, and these kind of things are basically quote unquote my jam. So I was excited. I watched about 10 episodes because basically all of it dumped. It's Netflix is either all of it dumps at once or all of it dumps way after it's done airing in Japan. Yeah, so this one happened to dump basically all at once on April 1st, I believe. And I was enjoying it for a little bit. The first couple episodes are pretty good. There's some pretty good action. The stuff outside of the suits, like when it's just like the characters talking, is like kind of choppy and gross looking and not that nice. But the stuff inside the suits is overall pretty good and fun to watch. But as I got further, I just kind of, I don't know, the initial impact of the action scenes and the music and everything, like, it started wearing off, and they started introducing all this stuff that I wasn't too into. So, yeah, I wasn't. My basic reasoning is that I'm not going to pass it, and the reasoning for that is because we're also going to be reviewing Gridman, which does everything this tries to do, but does it better and looks better and is better direction and isn't completely 3D CG. That's another thing, and I hate to bring it up, but I wish this was a 2D animated thing. It would have been so much better, I think. But for some reason, Production IG is like so focused on having these like full CG shows now. I don't know why their CG like production isn't that good.
If anything, I saw that clip of the fight and it looked like it was pretty well choreographed, but I remember you saying like anything outside the suits runs at like 15 frames per second, but action runs at like a fluid 60. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it 60. It's probably more like 30.
Yeah.
It looks a lot better in the suits and stuff. It's just, yeah, all the talking stuff with all the people just looks really
stiff.
Yeah, it looks stiff and it's just flat. It's not that great. So, yeah, this is a pass it.
A pass it?
Or a skip it. A skip it. A skip
sink?
it. A sink. There, I don't...
A sink.
Sink or swim?
I sink or whatever. It's not, we're not watching it.
What does it sink into?
It sinks into
Doo-doo.
alien guts because they cut off alien heads and stuff, and the aliens die and stuff, and there's blood and guts. It's not really like super graphic. Yeah, it sinks in alien guts because it makes Cammy make noises.
Great.
I'm just gonna walk up to Cammy one day, get really close to her ear, and just say,
Alien guts.
Oh my god, no! That was. What if you did fucking ASMR? I hate you.
I love that we both did it at the same time.
Yeah.
I really want to know how that's going to come through in the recording because that was like that burned my ears. That scalded them.
It peaked hard.
That's okay.
Oh, not
good.
even that. No, I just meant it was the opposite of ASMR where it's supposed to tickle your eardrums. That just burned. Because of alien guts. But actually, I'm glad that you did not mention sink or swim first, because I did forget to mention that, yes, in keeping with our nautical ocean theme, shows that we are going to pass for review are going to swim. Shows that we decide will not pass will sink, for those who are new. So, yeah, we will continue on that train. But thank you for sparing me of actual alien guts. Alrighty. that I get to go next, and I'm going to tell you all about a little show called Mix Meisei Story. And the synopsis on my anime list is really quick, so I will also give my own spin on it. Mal says, the story takes place in the same Meisei high school as the Touch series, only it's set 26 years later. Like Touch, Mix revolves around brothers and baseball as main themes. Okay, so yes, it is a work of the same author who did Touch, which was a very popular baseball series, and it takes place 26 years later. And it's about two brothers that aren't related but were born on the same day, and then their parents, like one of them, they each had like a single parent, and then they got married, so they became brothers, and one of them has a sister, so it's a sister, her not brother, and her brother, and they're all entering Meisei High School, and the two boys like to do baseball. One of them is a pitcher, one of them is likes to swing the bat. I'm not sports. I can't sports. He's a batter. He's a hitter.
A hitter? Yeah, a bitter. I don't know. He's a bitter.
Yeah.
I said bitter. He's bitter.
I mean,
he's a batter. He's a hitter. I don't know. Whatever.
Bitter coffee?
He's bitter. I don't know.
He actually is kind of bitter. So because then it basically is about youth and baseball and these not siblings, and there's also a little bit of romance in there. The boys are definitely bitter because there's an element of like team drama and like biased picks of certain players, and they see that as that's like bullshit, and that's a thing that they're gonna have to face because they're clearly talented but they're not being utilized for the team. And so the first thing that I would say about this show, and it's something that hit me very hard as someone who's never seen any anime based on Mitsuru, I think her name is Mitsuru Odachi, her work, is that it's very referential. Because it is based off of Touch, it always does little things that I guess refer back to Touch in the original story. They're always like, hey, this is Meisei Gakuen, and we want to win the tournament that we won 29 years ago. These are the boys and that will follow, and I hope they do it. It's like a little recap at the beginning of every episode. And apparently they played, there was a scene where they played a school anthem, and it was the same one that was played in the original anime. There was a really weird scene that I didn't understand, but apparently it was like an inside joke to something that happened in Touch, or a character in Touch. So it does not necessarily it's not necessarily user friendly. Like, it definitely is really into its own meta, which is fine. And I'm sure if someone is a fan of Touch, then it's really fun for that reason. But outside of that, just looking at it as an anime, there's a narrator that I really don't like. She just feels very out of place. It feels very cheesy. It's also really annoying because she just reiterates things like, yeah, they play baseball and their dad was this player way back when, whatever. It just, it doesn't need to be there. And I found the presence of the narrator very annoying. The animation is pretty, although that's mostly in the baseball scenes. Otherwise, it's kind of stale. The character designs on the main characters are great. It's also very retro styled to Adachi's character designs. However, the main characters are given really nice detailed designs, but a lot of the side characters look extremely cartoony, like from cartoons in the 60s or 70s, which is okay. It kind of threw me off because it looked like you were looking at someone's doodle in 8th grade compared to something that they submitted as their art class final in high school or something. So it threw me off a little bit. But overall, this show I think is okay. It's slow moving, but it does have some nice little hints of romance. And if you're into baseball, it definitely treats it with a lot of respect, makes it very interesting. But it's very long. It's going to be around a 50s episode count. And I don't think as a sports anime, it's really strong enough to justify us passing it. So it is going to sink, and I'm just looking at the poster here. It's gonna sink onto a field of fresh green grass. That's, yeah. They look very happy on the poster, and it didn't really do anything wrong, so they can just chill on the grass.
They can just be left in the grass.
Well, there you go.
Left behind to do their own devices.
Pretty much, it'll catch all the balls that get thrown into the out of bounds, like in the outfield. It sinks in the outfield. There we go. But yeah, and then, so moving right along, Craig, I want to hear about one of your picks for the season.
Okay. First up on the docket. Let's get this out of the way first, shall we? One Punch Man Season 2.
Woo!
The controversial series of this season that everyone and their mother is talking about. I see a lot of Twitter discourse about this one. I'll just say this right up front. This is produced by JC Staff versus Season 1. That's Madhouse. This season is, because of that, is in such an interesting position that it has a giant shadow over looming this production staff, its team, everything. So with that being said, let me just throw you the synopsis, which, by the by, my anime list does the token thing of saying Season 2, the second season of One Punch Man. So the synopsis from Season 1 says, the seemingly ordinary and unimpressive Saitama has a rather unique hobby, being a hero. In order to pursue his childhood dream, he trained relentlessly for 3 years and lost all of his hair in the process. Now, Saitama is incredibly powerful, so much so that no enemy is able to defeat him in battle. In fact, all it takes to defeat his evildoers is just one punch, which has led to an unexpected problem. He has no longer any joy in the thrill of battling, and has since become quite bored. This all changes with the arrival of Genos, a 19-year-old cyborg who wishes to be Saitama's disciple. After seeing what he's capable of, Genos proposes that the two join the Heroes Association in order to become certified heroes themselves that will be able to be recognized for their positive contributions to society. And Saitama, shocked that no one knows who he is, quickly agrees, and thus begins the story of One Punch Man, an action comedy that follows the eccentric individual who longs to fight strong enemies that can hopefully one day give him the excitement he once felt, and maybe, just maybe, he'll become popular in the process. Okay, the show is fine. I'll just say it right now, it's fine. I can't unsee the shortcuts that the show takes. It is really hard to not unsee it. I mean, okay, trying to divorce this show from season 1 is very hard. I'll just say that right now. But when you have cutting corners when it comes to its action, you have not nearly as much polish. The CG, I don't get butthurt over CG, but when I'm able to see it and it looks gross to me, that's a problem. Anything with the metallic chrome finish, aka Genos, because his whole entire body, neck down, is metal, and it looks like embezzled bubbles. Like, metal bats look like they have, like, this gross finish to them that looks chrome, and it looks oddly out of place. It sticks out to me. That being said, the plot of this, in the first 3 episodes, is interesting in the fact that the Hero Association encounters a guy named Garo, who proclaims himself a hero hunter, a quote-unquote monster. He says, heroes are boring, monsters are cool, I want to become a monster. And he's essentially goes out and tries to fight all the S-Class heroes, and like a giant warrant is put out on him, and everyone and their mother is trying to fight him, but loses. And I'm like, yo, this is pretty cool. But whenever Genos shows up on screen, I'm like, oh god, this is gross. It's fine. I'm, for all intents and purposes, for this podcast, I'll just say, hey, if you have an interest, go watch season 1 or read the manga. But for review purposes, I say this sinks into CG Chrome, which is physically impossible, but hey, let's have them sink into it. And yeah, just again, I know Dom really had an interest, and the story is fine. It's just at this rate, I'm going to continue watching it because I'm already invested, but I feel as though for anyone else, go watch Mob Psycho 100, or go watch Season 1 to see the Madhouse polish, but I feel as though JC's staff unfortunately has not hit that mark, and I don't think it's really fair to compare the two, but it's kind of noticeable. I will say, however, the opening is a bop. I like the opening. It's Jam Project still.
Nice.
It's Jam Project, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Can't go wrong with Jam Project.
Yeah.
They have jam in the name.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Actually, I've just because of all of the stuff that is in what happened in One Punch Man Season 2's production, I haven't even looked at it, but now I'm definitely going to go back and check the opening.
Yeah.
And see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's an understandable choice, though.
Yeah, I just like, at the end of the day, I think it's very serviceable, and like we have stuff on the docket that edges that out a little bit, and
well, yeah, and I don't feel like a person doesn't come to One Punch Man for serviceable, at least not initially. That's not what people were looking for based on what they had seen from Season 1.
Dynamic, hand-drawn, fluid animation versus just like, okay, and that's okay. And you're coming off the heels of Mob. Again, different studios, mind you, different ballparks, but like Mob Season 2, woof! Versus this, I'm just like, ugh.
And then,
I hear you.
and while it's not really good to compare the two, they've also got My Hero Academia, which each new season steps up the game even a little.
Yeah, but isn't My Hero with the same studio?
Same staff, too.
As Mob.
Yeah.
As Mob, yeah.
So
I
don't think even comparing it in that regard is really fair. Like,
No.
I will say, for all intents and purposes, if this does actually pick up traction and there are staff members that actually get noticed for this, and if it does get a season 3, I'll be impressed, and I myself would still probably check it out.
I'll probably watch it because I still enjoy One Punch Man, but still.
Okay. Then, John, I believe you are next.
Alright, so, first up for me is The Wise Man's Grandchild, aka Kenja no Mago. The synopsis goes, a young man who had surely died in an accident was reborn in another world as a baby. After that, he was picked up by the patriot hero sage Merlin Wolfred. Was given the name of Shin. He was raised as grandson by Merlin and soaked up Merlin's teachings, earning him some shocking powers. However, when he became 15, his grandfather Merlin said, "I forgot to teach him common sense." And an abnormal boy is an abnormal boy's unconventional otherworld fantasy life starts here. It's kind of isekai, although they don't do much with the whole, I was reborn. He kind of hasn't mentioned that to anyone. There's a moment where Merlin and another character kind of have a conversation to themselves, like they say if it turns out that he is from another world, they wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, so it's really nicely animated. I will say that it's probably got a better budget than it deserves.
I love when that happens.
The main character, Shin, is ridiculously overpowered, and that's kind of the joke.
Okay.
They enroll him at a sort of magical school, so he can actually interact with people his own age, because he hasn't up until this point. He's kind of lived in a cabin in the woods.
I heard that's a good horror movie.
Nice.
Sorry?
Cabin in the Woods. Sorry, I couldn't resist. It's a horror movie that apparently was really good, supposedly.
At one point, comments that he's glad that magic in this world doesn't require chanting to cast spells, and then he goes to this entrance exam thing, And then you've got all these other people trying to be his classmate coming out with all these, like, cheesy chants complete with poses, throws out their spell and can't even put a scratch on these test dummies. And they go, okay, you're up. There's a note here to remind you to hold back. Whatever. And then he just kind of raises an arm, summons a blue fireball, and near enough blows up all of the test dummies, and they scream at him like, "You were supposed to hold back!" And it's like, I was quite a bit.
So that's the overpowered there. Okay.
So is he overpowered just because he strictly has Merlin from Arthurian lore's like teachings? He's able to just essentially like go the distance and go over 9,000 and is able to be the power trip fantasy?
There's a little of that. Merlin taught him how to cast magic without using chants. So he can do, and he was taught stuff by Merlin, and that's part of why he was so OP. But another thing that this synopsis doesn't mention at all, and about the only way that the isekai part actually comes into him being OP is that when he was working in this world, they don't really say what his job was, but he was either editing or he was writing a book that's basically a 101 on science and chemistry. And so when he came to this world and he's learning magic, he's realizing, oh, I can apply my knowledge of science to this magic to, like, you know, mixing out the chemicals to make these fireballs more powerful. So that's how he's able to create this blue flame instead of everyone else's generic red flames. And so it's him applying that scientific knowledge to magic to make it more powerful and doing all this other crazy shit that everyone's like, we never thought of this. So there's also a love interest, and the bit that made me eye roll is when she's first introduced, the screen focuses on her breasts.
Of course.
And then the two or so end up so obviously head over heels with their crushes on each other that is also kind of just the joke. But then I was like, okay, this is reminding me a lot of Knights and Magic in some ways, and that ended up being a bit of a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say anything.
At least I haven't seen any CG, but yeah, it's just, I'm probably going to continue watching it, but I'm not going to swim this, unfortunately. It's like, it's not doing anything majorly wrong, but it's also not doing anything to really stand out and say, like, yes, this is going to be awesome, you should watch it.
Yeah.
I will admit that a much younger me would have seen how OP the character was and been super excited and like stoked about that aspect of it, but now I'm just like, he's OP because he's OP. Okay, yeah. They got your reasons to justify it, but still.
It's isekai!
So what does the show sink into?
Ah, good question.
I feel like it'd have to be flames of some color.
Sinks into the blue flames of hell!
Hey!
He opens these portals all the time to get around, because there's like fast travel, so he sinks into a portal that takes him to the wrong place, so he doesn't know where he is.
Ooh, I like that. I like that there's like an adventure there, like a journey after sinking. Awesome. And now, being able to finish off our rounds, and I said that to be as cringy as possible, is Cassie.
Talk about cringy. My next thing I get to talk about. Have we noticed that this entire first round has not been very positive? Or in some cases it's been just very lightly positive, but not overall that great?
Don't worry, I'll fix that.
Okay, well, I might too eventually, but this first round isn't going too hot, and I'm not going to end the trend, guys. I got Shoumetsu Toshi, also known as Afterlost. For those of you watching it in the English dub on Funimation or watching it on Funimation in general. This is by Studio Madhouse, and I told everybody I was going to open up my impression with Madhouse, are you okay? Because I'm really worried about I'm worried about them. Last season they released Boogie Pop Phantom, which, to be fair, was not a bad anime. It just was kind of boring. But at least stylistically, it still looked good. Shoumetsu Toshi is some of the worst instances of CG I have seen in years. And it opens the anime on this really shitty, awful CG scene of people disappearing. But before I go into all of the grievances I have with Shoumetsu Toshi, I should probably give a synopsis. So I'm going to go ahead and do that before I just go off the deep end. So one day, a city suddenly disappears. Takuya, a professional by-the-contract courier and lone wolf, meets Yuki, the only survivor from the city's extinction. Which I'm going to stop it right there. He doesn't meet Yuki. He kidnaps her from a facility. This is a very misleading synopsis. Anyway, the two rely on a message from Yuki's father, who was heard to be missing, and head toward the disappeared city of Lost. However, unexpected obstacles strike before the pair, with the reality especially shocking for Yuki. Before them are the feelings of those left behind, a mysterious group manipulating in the shadows and unveiling the hidden conspiracy. That sentence doesn't make any sense. Takuya and Yuki, who both were initially strangers, would deepen their bond during the journey and unravel the mystery of the Lost City. So, I watched 3 episodes of the show and I have no idea what it's about outside of there was a city and everybody in that city is now gone. Yuki is somehow connected to it because she was there and was the only person who survived. And this guy is trying to get her back to where her father supposedly disappeared, because he supposedly disappeared and lost as well. Everything else they try and introduce into this makes no fucking sense. They try to say that there are these Tamashi who are the spirits of the people who are lost, who are able to interact with Yuki because she's special, because she is. She was in a facility, so we have to infer that she's special. And for some reason, she can see them and interact with them, but it's not really explained why. But also, the other guy can see them and interact with them, and everybody else can see and interact with them. So she's not really special, but she can also channel their powers somehow through her body. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. It's pointless. This entire show is just pointless. There is nothing here of any substance. It has a 5.57 right now on my anime list, which is bad. But it doesn't even deserve that much. It is literally one of the worst animes I have watched. And I'd honestly probably rather go back and watch Handshakers.
Oh,
no.
Shit.
Ooh.
This show was so not worth my time. Like, at one point, Dominic came home from work and I was like, oh, let's go do something. And they were like, but you gotta finish your show. And I'm like, it can wait. Like, I'm not invested in any way, shape, or form, and it was a slog to get to the 3rd episode. And then the third episode had one of my least favorite things that they do in anime, where there was an idol, and there's a character that they try and get to help him, and his name is Geek. His name is literally Geek. They call him Geek. And he is a old, fat slob who just happens to be really good with computers, who is in love with this idol girl, who they interact with.
No.
And it just was gross and cringy with him. He's like, I've got to go save her. I'm in love with her. And it's like, oh God, I can't. This entire show is just the worst thing from this season. And I am really disappointed, especially because I didn't have high hopes going into this, but I was like, oh, it's Madhouse, so it should be at least fun to look at. Didn't even get that much, so.
Every studio needs a paycheck at a certain point.
But this isn't going to make them any money.
No.
I believe it's based off a game, so
correct.
maybe the people who are into the game will purchase this anime, but I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe they approach the staff like, hey, we will give you a good promotional bonus or something if you give us an anime, but looks like it didn't turn out well for anybody.
I will say one positive thing about it. I kind of liked the opening. but that just pissed me
Okay.
off even more because the opening sets you up for this jam-packed action thriller that you don't get. There are a couple of moments that are action animated that aren't CG that look kind of nice, where I'm like, oh, there you are, Madhouse. I see you. But it just isn't enough for the rest of the show. It's just... So this sinks. It sinks deep into the pits of Lost, where it also disappears, hopefully never to be seen again.
I love the really spiteful sinks so much.
Yeah,
They're
the spiteful
always
things
fun.
are the best ones.
They just become very personal, like, to the show.
When he's like, it's harmless, I don't want to do too bad to it. It's like, okay, so what do I sink it into? When it's like, no, this thing needs to burn in hell. What's this serious personal hell?
My favorite one still is the Fukumenke noise one, where
The
Kami-
soundproof box in the ocean.
Yeah.
I still need to show... I need to show y'all that after recording. I will show you the clip of her singing so you can understand why. But before we get to that, we do have another 2 rounds to bring you. So starting us off with round 2, it's Dominic.
What? Stop that.
God, the hype for Dom is like unreal compared to the rest of us.
I don't know why. Anyways, my next show is actually hashtag the good shit. We have Aikatsu Friends, Kagayaki no Jewel.
Kakuyaki no Juru.
Yes.
This is the second season of Aikatsu Friends, but because Aikatsu is just that fucking good, unlike every other anime that has a second season on Mal, it gets its actual own synopsis.
Oh.
What?
That's how you know.
God.
That's how you know it's the real shit, guys. Anyways, the story takes place 2 years after Aikatsu Friends with Aine Yuki, now in high school. One day she has an encounter with the mysterious idol Hibiki Amakake, who wears the shining, jeweling dress. It's a very short synopsis, but I mean, it's something.
Guys, can I just say something? It doesn't say that she's an idol from space.
Oh yeah, the Hibiki actually, she makes her appearance by shooting in a frickin' space pod out from outer space into, like, you know, the atmosphere, landing, and then coming in on like a parachute or something, and in a spacesuit, and she like she walks towards, you know, the 2 main characters, and then there's like a phoenix behind her, and anyways, this Aikatsu Friends was really good. Aikatsu in general is really good, and I picked this because I wanted to have an excuse to rant about how much I like Aikatsu on a podcast by people who normally don't watch this kind of thing. So, the first 3 episodes, honestly, as far as the start goes, this might be even better than the first season.
It was way better. It was so extra.
It was incredibly...
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Fucking space idols careening into the planet just to say, hey, we got some jewels that'll make your dresses shinier. By the way, I'm also really good at singing and dancing. Check me out.
Yeah, and it's just like, it was like really like well animated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Aikatsu in general just looks pretty nice on average, but this this was just a little bit above the average episode for all 3 episodes, well, all 4 that we watched. It just looked really nice. There was just like a lot of really just well done. There was even like some action. There's like one of the old characters like drops in to fight she like has this like play fight with the new character, and they're like having this chuny fight like on the stage and everything, and it was like really dynamic and cool. Anyways, Aikatsu is just, in my opinion, just like a step above in what an idol show should be, in that it's just a lot of fun, and these girls are just chasing their dreams and doing what they can, and also occasionally they will do crazy stuff like chop down a tree in the middle of the woods for Christmas and bring like an entire gigantic huge Christmas tree with just 4 idols to their school.
Oh my God.
And they do shit like that, and you're just like, wow, Aikatsu rules. And everything is Aikatsu. And that's the lesson we should all learn. Anyways, Aikatsu swims because it's fucking amazing and I love it.
They chopped down a tree by themselves and were able
Well,
to...
That's in season
that's the
one.
very, very first Aikatsu. They don't do that in this one, but I mean, that's like the defining Aikatsu moment. That's when Aikatsu like became Aikatsu, because Aikatsu is like very episodic, but it's also like it's not just episodic. It's not just about these girls doing like typical idol things. They do everything. Everything is Aikatsu.
Okay.
That is how you know it's just
Everything
it's
is
good.
Aikatsu now.
Everything you can think of that might possibly lend itself in some strange way to making you a better idol is Aikatsu. And this can be stretched in a bajillion different ways. And in this season, one of the new girls literally just goes into space and spends however ridiculous amount of time just being in space, doing idol things in space for I don't know who, but that's just what she does because it makes her Aikatsu better. And it makes her a better idol.
Also, the cool thing about Aikatsu Friends is you don't need to watch all the other Aikatsus. It's kind of like Precure in that way.
I was literally just going to ask if it's
Yeah.
like Precure, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Basically,
Awesome.
I mean, they have references, because I've watched the first 12 episodes of the first Aikatsu, which eventually I'll get back to. But they have references, but it's nothing. It's like a goodie. It's like an Easter egg. Like in one of the last couple episodes of the first season of Aikatsu Friends, they have one of the girls finding the axe that Ichigo chopped the tree down with in the first season. Stuff like that. But it's got its own dynamic too, which is really cool and honestly drew me in a little bit more because the whole the whole shtick of Aikatsu Friends is you find somebody to perform with and they become your friends unit. So you're friends and you perform together to be better.
Friends with a capital F.
Yeah, friends with a capital F because it's a noun.
Yeah, like you could have like normal friends, but you're like your friends with a capital F is like
the one you perform
That's like
with.
your BFF or your girlfriend in this case because
Sure.
Yeah.
Whereas I haven't watched all of the entirety of the first Aikatsu, but it was more about you individually improving, but with your team as a group, but you're still pushing individually, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, basically.
But in
I
this
see.
one, it's more about, making friends units and getting better together and what makes each other better. We'll have to watch more of Kagayaki no Jewel to really say whether you need to watch the second season to watch the second.
Everyone kind of comes back and I mean, maybe it's not like necessary, but it is the second season.
Yeah, I don't know. The first season is 54 episodes. I'm just going to put that
Or
out there.
50 episodes.
But I will watch it, so you have at least one person for sure who will, and maybe others will trail in. We can make it one of the later shows, so that way if other people want to jump in and watch the first season, they can watch both and not be overwhelmed. But it currently is airing, so that's also helpful.
Heck yeah. I mean, to be fair, I would love to hop onto that, definitely, should time allow. I'm now doing that and making the decision of watching Hugto after both of your recommendation, and it's amazing. So I'm very excited to try out Aikatsu Friends as well. Yeah. That will be really cool. And actually, I'm really glad that you went first with that show because you definitely know how to bring the hype when it's something that you are passionate about.
Yeah.
No matter what you say,
I think
you hype the fuck out of Aikatsu.
I think I just ramble and run in a circle and just say, I like this, it's good, you should watch it over and over again, but if that works, that's fine.
I think you do it in a way that's less redundant than you think. I think that you bring up a lot of stuff. Yeah. But also, I'm really happy that you mentioned that because speaking of really good girls making some really fucking gorgeous music.
Oh, yeah.
I'm here to talk to you about a little show called Carole and Tuesday. I'm so excited to talk about this.
I'm so excited
All
for
right.
you to talk about this.
So the synopsis for Carole and Tuesday on Mal says, 50 years have passed since mankind began migrating to the new frontier, Mars. It's an age where most culture is produced by AI and people are content to be passive consumers. There's a girl scrapping a living in the metropolis of Alba City. She's working part-time while trying to become a musician. She's always felt like something is missing. Her name is Carole. There's another girl. Born to a wealthy family in the provincial town of Herschel City, she dreams of becoming a musician, but nobody around her understands. She feels like the loneliest person in the world. Her name is Tuesday. A chance meeting brings them together. They want to sing. They want to make music. Together, they feel like they just might have a chance. The two of them may only create a tiny wave, but that wave will eventually grow into something larger. Okay, so I've been hype as shit on this show since seeing the promotional art, seeing that it is a Shinichiro Watanabe piece, seeing that it is Shinichiro Watanabe addressing friendship and music again. I was so fucking excited for it because I love Kids on the Slope, and I know that Watanabe can do a music show very well. Additionally, the show is gorgeous, absolutely stunning, incredible art and character designs, and the music. The production is bombastically good and very beautiful. There are scenes where the two girls, Carole and Tuesday, are trying to make music, and instead of really just like having them start playing a song, it gives you that moment that's hidden from a lot of not only music anime, but even like music movies and stuff. You see the moment where it goes from just improvising and experimenting to when a song comes together. And it is so like quiet, but also very powerful. I think it's also worth mentioning that Carole and Tuesday, there was an international audition to have their singing voices cast. And Carole is sung by a black female vocalist in Atlanta. I believe her name is Nabier. And then Tuesday is voiced by a half Japanese singer. She's living in Japan right now, named Cecilina Ann, I think is her name. I'll confirm that in the meantime while I gush. But it's really, really cool to hear these singers, and they do have like their own music that they've been making, and it's really cool to hear them taking part in an anime, and again, just contributing to that really organic sense of musicianship. Another thing that I can definitely mention is that Urban Mars is a really cool setting, like Urban Mars in the future. The level of detail to which the technology operates and their like blends of Western culture, and it's such a treat to see. There's like a Krispy Kreme like donuts, but it has
creamy
like
cream.
Yes. And you see the sign and you recognize it. One other thing I love is whenever they go to a bar or a restaurant, the menu is like a screen on the countertop, so you just see them doing like finger swiping, even to call a servant.
Yeah, I like that part, and it's just got the little like the waitress or the bartender as like a little person. They just tap it and they come over. That's cool.
Yeah, it's just that sort of detail is so fun, and it really shows to me that everyone that's involved in production is like really dedicated to just making this something that's very special. Another fun thing is that Watanabe does the same episode theming as he did in Cowboy Bebop and Kids on the Slope, where every episode is named after a song title. And then the mid-title card is usually like a shot of the record with all of the details, like when it was published, the artist, etc., etc. Yeah. And so it's like, it's hard for me to talk about this holistically just because so many little things are really, really good. But the girls are great characters on their own. They have a really great dynamic together, and it's really fun seeing them grow closer and seeing them just like create music like they both wanted and finding something that they were missing by themselves and finding it together. For the pace of the show, I would call it pretty gentle and quiet at this point, but I can see their journey reaching a crescendo by the end. And I am so fucking excited to see it. So if you couldn't tell, this show fucking swims. It's great. It's amazing.
2 shows about musical women. Woo! Woo! I celebrate this.
Yes. The one sad thing that I will definitely mention is that it is not like Ultraman. Netflix locked this sweet baby into Netflix jail. So, Unfortunately, it's going to be pushed back for a long time. And I'm really upset by that because I do think it's one of the best shows that's airing this season. So,
But when we get to it, it's going to be amazing.
When we get to it, hang tight because I'm really looking forward to that review.
Yeah, we watched the first 2 episodes of this today. And like Cowboy Bebop, I also want to mention that, like, not just the singing music, but also, you know, like the background music, the actual soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's really good.
Yeah.
I tried looking up who did the music on Mal, and I couldn't find anyone, so I don't know who does it, but
I'm sure we can probably find out by the time we review it.
It's good.
And I think for once it's not Yoko Kanno.
Yeah.
But then that's even more cool that, like, you know, it doesn't have to be relying on Yoko Kanno.
Yeah.
Like, they've got connections for the show. And yeah, it all just comes together so well in the production. Like, I can't handle it.
Yeah, it just looks phenomenal.
I also love how they bring these two girls who come from completely different backgrounds together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so natural of them becoming
Mhm.
friends. Like, and I love the scene when when Tuesday walks up to Carole playing on the street, and she's just so overwhelmed by, like, her playing. And
Yes.
and then they have this little banter when they're running down the street about, like, oh, your name's Carole, were you born on Christmas? Or
That was so cute.
or, oh, your name's Tuesday, were you born on a Tuesday? I don't know. And they're just running
Yes.
away, and it's just like everything between them just seems so genuine and real, even though they've never met each other until that moment. And that kind of friendship is just something I have I don't know,
Affinity for?
yeah, I love it. It just immediately clicked, and I almost cried. I was like, I love when they have their little Instagram moment. I was like, okay, it's fine.
Oh, also, by the way, their Instagram is official. You can go follow it, and it
really?
it posts as the shows go. So yeah, like when
Cool.
episode 1 was out, all they had was that first post. It's super cute.
I love
wow.
that.
Go follow them.
It is legit Instagram in the show too. Like,
Yeah.
the title is on there and
It's
everything.
not like a
It's not like the creamy cream. It's actually called Instagram.
Yeah.
by
Back at it
accident.
again with the
Actual-
cream.
And then, yeah, one other piece actually that when you were talking about characters, Cassie, that I also wanted to mention that I think is really cool is that there's, like, not only do the main characters have, like, unique character designs, but there's so many characters of, like, different ethnicities, different, like, weights, shapes, and sizes, like, different, I don't know, they're just, like, it's a very rich world, and a lot of the characters look very enticing, like, that, I think her name is Angela, like the model girl. I love her hair. It's so fluffy. And it's really good. That's another aspect that I really like. It's a very diverse cast of characters.
I'm also
I'm
interested
always down
in how they're gonna do the whole unique, like, made music versus AI produced music. How
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna
Yeah,
handle that.
that's definitely sitting in the back there. Yeah. So yeah, really good stuff all around.
It's really good. I'm excited.
Hey, Craig. Yeah. Can you tell us about another one of your picks?
Okay, I can.
The rest of this podcast should be whispering.
No, I can't maintain the illusion that long. Let me tell you a tale about a show that I had to switch 2 times over in order to finally land on something. Okay, so first off, I initially got the show Kabukichi or Kicho Sherlock, but that show got pushed until the fall of this year. So then I said, okay, fine, I'll pick Gunjo no Magmel, aka Ultramarine Magmel, for my pick this season. Unfortunately, no one's licensed it. No one's out there says it's worth our time. Shame, I guess. Whatever. I heard no one talking about this either. So I settled on the show that I've seen some people talking and some of our friends talking. The show Ao-chan Can't Study, otherwise known as Midara no Ao-chan wa Benkyou ga Dekinai. Fun fact about this show: it's produced by Silverlink, which also was the production company behind John's show, The Philosopher's Grandson. So I'll first start off by saying this is a short.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe it is the short. So you're in and out pretty quick. It's about 10 or so minutes rather than 5. It is produced very well. The opening, there's a theme with my shows today, and the openings are really good. This opening is actually really good. And the opening is fun. The show actually, again, has a lot more polish than I anticipated. I will say, however, I don't know if I'm necessarily the target audience for this show. It's let me read you the synopsis, and maybe that'll enlighten as to why. When Ao was in kindergarten, she smiled ear to ear as she told her classmates how her father, a best-selling erotic author, chose her name. A as in apple, and O as in orgy. Show 'em your O face, kid. That day still haunts her 10 years later as she studies with a single goal in mind, to get into an elite university and achieve independence from her father once and for all. She has no youth to misspend and no time to think about boys until her classmate, King Normie Kijima, approaches her with a shocking confession of love. She tries to lose Kijima, but he just can't take a hint, and as her mind runs wild with dirty thoughts, she realizes her father has totally influenced her. That synopsis is actually pretty succinct and to the point. Yo, this show is about a guy who is a actual decent human being, while the rest of his teenage horny as fuck friends are saying, man, her chest size is so-and-so, and he's like, shut up, would you shut up, please? While she's honestly taking this and running with it and exaggerating it to fantasize about how he wants to get her alone and do depraved things to her. Again, going back to the notion of her father has ruined her. It should be noted, and I told you guys this before, but her father is voiced by the giraffe from Revue Starlight, so shout outs to him. Wakarimasu. He looks like a gremlin. He talks like a gremlin until he gets serious, and then you can really hear the velvet wakarimasu in his voice. The show is, I guess, to put it simply, I guess this show's humor doesn't resonate with me. I think it's fine. I think, again, it's produced very well for what it is. And if the synopsis intrigues you, I definitely recommend giving it a shot. It's not that much of a commitment. But for me, I saw what I wanted to see in the first episode and knew what I was going to get. I watched the episodes 2 and 3, and it is essentially her trying to lose Kijima in every sense of the word, and he won't take no for an answer, and they wind up in precarious positions, so wacky hijinks, and her father gets involved and tries to advocate that they have sex, which is really weird for her dad, but, good on you, gremlin father, I guess? I don't know. This show's weird. For the podcast purposes, I say this sinks into the titty gelatin that her father ate in episode 1.
I was like, oh man, if he doesn't sink it into anything else, I'll be so disappointed in Craig, but I'm glad he did it.
Yeah, the titty jello.
He really wanted the titty jello, and then she cut the titty jello in half, and he was very distraught. Her father was very distraught by this. This is on Crunchyroll and High Dive, so give it a shot if you if this would appeal to you. I think Cass and Kami, I think you guys would get a kick out of it.
I watched episode 1, and I'm so glad you brought up the opening, because that opening is really fun.
The opening, honestly, is the best part, in my opinion. It has polish, and the production values across the entire show actually has way more polish than I anticipated. It's definitely seems like a shoujo, but it's just
I might check it out.
An extreme shoujo, like a girl being so divorced from boys to a point where she's like, oh god, she assumes the worst while trying to be by herself. Again, going back to the title, Ao-chan can't study because fucking she winds up in shenanigans every episode. So
gotcha. I'm so glad it sinks in the titty gelatin. Good job.
In the titty jello.
All right. John, what do you have up next for us?
Right. My next series is Sewayaki Kitsune no Senko-san, aka the Helpful Fox Senko-san. I've also seen it as the Meddlesome Fox Senko-san, but on Crunchyroll and Funimation it's the Helpful Fox Senko-san. The synopsis goes, I'm gonna give you some little heads up. There's some very yikes things about this synopsis.
They haven't updated it, have they?
The everyday life of Nakano, a salaryman working for an exploitative company, is suddenly intruded upon by the fox Senko-san, an 800-year-old little girl. Whether it be cooking, cleaning, or special service, she'll heal his exhaustion with her tender care, in quotes.
Okay, so they haven't updated it. I remember that from our bottle episode.
Does it need an update? Is
It
that not
does.
what it's about?
It
Oh.
does. While it is a Doge Kobo series, and there are moments where it seems like Doge Kobo are gonna do what Doge Kobo do when they get the chance to, it seems to get to like maybe one scene per episode at most, and even then, it's not really as bad, anywhere near as bad as what typical Doge Kobo affair is.
Is the one scene though? Is that the mark here? We're like saying, yo, it has the one scene. Thank God it only has the one scene per episode.
Like the one scene in episode 1 is where we learn what this special service is, and that is letting him fluff her tail. It's a really wholesome series for the most part. It feels like a warm hug in anime form. And I just keep on coming out of each episode with a thoughts along the lines of, can I have a fox demigirl come and pamper me after a long day at work?
Have you seen the post credit scenes where she talks to the viewer in front of the camera?
The Super Senko time at the end of each episode. Yeah. It's like first person.
But it's pretty cute. Like, I watched the first one and she's just like, here, have this tea. This is how we brewed the tea. And tea is really good before you go to bed, so you should have some. Sleep well. And I was like, wow, that's fucking cute.
Yeah, they are super cute. For the most part, it's just super wholesome, really enjoyable, and I actually am going to swim this one.
So basically, if no one else is comfortable watching it, I said I could get through it. Because I watched the first 2 episodes, and this show, it's like, it could be fully wholesome, but then you have the petting scenes, which for me,
there are things that just, hold it back a bit.
It's the moment where I'm like, why Doga Kobo, why? Especially episode 2, where he's petting her ears, and he says it feels like they're sucking me in while she's, squirming and shit. I could not. I was like, no, stop. So, I wish it was fully wholesome. But I'll do my best to bypass the bypass those scenes.
Volunteers tribute.
The bravest soldier.
Yeah, I'll watch it. Because I did, there are some really funny scenes though too. In episode 1, he opens the door and then she's like, "Welcome home. You must be tired." And he's like, "Oh, wrong house. Sorry." He closes the door, opens it up again. She says, "Welcome home. You must be tired." And then he closes it. She opens it. She says the same line again. And then he immediately thinks about cops coming to arrest him. That sort of stuff is funny. It's cute.
That's meta is what we call that, ladies and gentlemen.
That too. Damn straight. And I just wish it wasn't ruined by the petting scenes and the fact that she kind of digs him. Yeah, but I'll watch it with you. I'll watch it with you. We got that. We got that. That show also has a very cute opening.
It does. I actually want to find it and link it.
Yeah. Alrighty. Oh my gosh. Cassie, I'm so curious what you're going to talk to us about next.
I'm gonna talk about Soya! Sarazanmai! Alright, so Sarazanmai is a amazing little show that's being done by Nobody Studio Mappa.
Never heard of them.
and is being directed by Kunihiko Ikuhara, so this is setting up itself completely for failure. I'm so excited to talk about this show. But first, I guess I should start with the synopsis, which goes as follows. Kazuki Yasa... He has the weirdest fucking name. Kazuki Yasaka, there we go, an 8th grader living in Asakusa, is turned into a kappa along with his classmates Toi and Enta by a mysterious creature named Kepi after they break inadvertently a statue of a kappa, the guardian god of the city. They are then ordered by Kepi. He actually kind of asked them nicely at first, to be fair.
Yeah, till he pissed him off.
They are then ordered by Kepi, who claims to be the first heir to the throne of Kappa Kingdom, to fight against the Kappa zombies, bio-arms created by his enemies, if they want to return to their human form. In order to kill them, they have to make a specific sound called Sarazanmai, which is produced only when the 3 of them are united, but the 3 boys cannot connect at first. In addition, one of their secrets is revealed to each other every time they emit the sound. They finally accept to take risks to collect the Plates of Hope, given by Kepi when they defeat the Kappa zombies, and which can make their wishes come true. However, some trouble occurs over the plates. Along the course of the fights against Kappa zombies, their fears, past, and inner conflicts keep getting revealed. This is the sarcastic fantasy of 3 boys who don't feel connected to their important ones, getting to realize the new meaning of bonds. They updated this synopsis. I'm so happy. Where do I start with Sarazanmai?
It's a musical.
Where does anyone start with Sarazanmai?
I'll tell you where they start. They start at the butt.
Yeah, you always start at the butt.
Up
Okay.
the ass.
Okay, so trigger warning for anybody who may or may not be, well, may not, then screw you don't need to listen. But if you may be interested in watching this show, there is a lot, especially in the first episode, it calms down significantly after the first episode, but there's still a lot of it there. There's a lot of butt stuff that happens in Sarazanmai. It's based off Japanese folklore, so it's not just thrown in there for shock factor. Although it's Ikuhara, it's definitely there also for shock factor, but it is directly relating back to a Japanese folklore about kappas and how they consume desires through the anus. Through, I can't remember exactly what it was called, a shirodama or something like that.
Shirokodama.
Shirikodama. I was
Yeah.
so close. But the whole show is basically teaching each of these boys that it's okay to open up and connect to others, and that you'll still be possibly accepted, or you'll be able to make true bonds once you've truly opened up as people and individuals. And it's really deep, and it's really fun, and it's super colorful.
The polish.
It's very polished. It looks great. It's probably one of Mappa's best. And I adore every single one of their character designs. I adore the Kappa versions of their character designs. Sada, who is a idol in the show, has one of my favorite character designs to come out in a while. She's very aesthetically pleasing. The opening is fun, although I will say that the opening for Sarazanmai is the least impactful or memorable than any of the Ikuhara shows. I think that, for example, Yorikuma's opening and Utsuna's opening especially have just stuck with me, whereas if this song comes up in Anime Music Quiz, I might actually have some problems because it sounds very similar to a lot of other things I've already heard. However, the ending is extremely standout, both visually and sound-wise. It's the song is done by the Peggies, which I have learned is a very interesting group that I like some of their music and some of them I don't. But Cammy came up to me later and was like, "Cassie, the group that sings the ending is named the Peggies," and I'm like, "You are literally 5 years old."
Wow, that
Oh,
just
I really
connected
hope
in
a
my
5-year-old
head.
doesn't know about that.
Wow.
Excuse you.
Oh, I'm sorry, a 12-year-old. I apologize.
Wow.
Oh, it's still unfortunate that but yeah, they would on
But
fanfiction sites.
I still giggled, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, wow, Cammy, you really went there.
They went all the way. The entire show is dedicated to butt stuff. It's great.
They even got the Peggies to sing the ending. If you
Oh
don't know
my
what
God.
pegging is, that could be a fun...
You didn't know what it was
I
until a
didn't
little
either.
while ago.
Cassie,
Sorry?
I
no?
didn't.
Cass didn't know what it meant.
I had no idea. I also told, to be
I
fair,
don't
I
know
also
what it
told
means.
Cammy, oh, John,
Oh,
you
don't
summer
do
child.
this to him.
Oh, honey.
Oh, honey.
Don't do not on the podcast. You can do it later.
Anyway,
John, oh yes, go
Urban
ahead.
Dictionary defines pegging as...
Anyway, so if you don't know what pegging is, go ahead and look it up. But the Peggies are the group that sing the ED, and they have a lot of interesting lighting effects and real world versus animation clashing kind of images that they show you, and it's beautiful. Like, please just if you watch nothing else related to Sarazanmai because it's not your cup of tea, which I totally get this not being everybody's cup of tea. It makes me sad, but I get it. But please watch the ED because it's beautiful and I love it. But that being said, I love Sarazanmai. It's amazing. It has we're only about 3 or 4 episodes in at this point, but I think it has a really good momentum going. And at first I was really worried about the 11 episode count, but so far it seems to not be dragging or holding back any punches and making its plot go back to back to back to back. So I'm all strapped in and ready for some more kappas. The only thing I could see being a detriment for some people is there is a repetitive nature to the episodes.
Yeah, Monsters of the Week sort of formula.
Well, not even Monsters of the Week formula. I'm talking about actual reused footage.
Oh, yeah.
There is a lot of stock footage.
There is a lot of stock footage. To be fair, it is really well done stock footage, and it changes each episode in regards to the Kappa zombie that they are fighting. However, the
actual action is the same every single episode.
Yeah, everything that happens at the halfway point to almost the end is going to be identical every episode, except you'll get a new piece of the puzzle. So I like it. I think it's being done on purpose. I think that the repetitive nature is something that Ikuhara is playing with, and I'm going to have fun discussing it, but it will to some people be like, wow, this is fucking lazy, and I get it.
But it's also a typical Ikuhara thing, because Utena had it, Penguin Drum had it, this has it.
Yeah, but
He's played with using stock footage, but Sarazanmai has literally 4 to 5 different long pieces of stock footage that are played every episode.
That is also true, yeah.
The Road to Desires, the Sarazanmai action, all of it.
Yeah, it's like his other shows had that stock footage thing that he did every episode, but this one it's a lot more than those shows.
One thing actually that I really like about Sarazanmai, and they also had this in Utena, is that for a lot of the reused footage, there's usually a very catchy song that I like to sing along to with it. Because
I agree.
I'm trying to learn the Otter Boys song and the Sarazanmai song to sing along with it, just like I did with Zettai Ume Mokuru Shiroku. So the fact that it's a musical to some degree also definitely helps.
Yeah. So I can see some things that would be a definite detriment for some people, but for me, I am so along on this ride, and I think a lot of the people who are already on the podcast are already watching it and enjoying it, or lukewarmingly enjoying it, or are just watching it. So
I feel like that one was just completely directed at me.
Yep.
I'm just saying people are watching it whether you're super enthusiastic or not. So for me to not pass it would be kind of silly because we're all watching it. Why don't we talk about it? But don't worry, that wasn't the reason it's going to swim. It's going to swim because I fucking love it and I'm excited. So that was really long-winded and took a while, but I think it'll be a really fun review in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. I'm so excited.
The Ikuverse continues.
Sarazanmai!
I will make us watch all of the Ikuhara stuff.
Keep touch the butt.
You can't get me to watch Utena now.
I can't, unfortunately.
I don't mean to turn this over, but John, if it makes you feel any better, a discussion about Sarazanmai led to me explaining to Zach what Omegaverse was.
Oh, God.
Oh, right. I remember him telling me that.
Does everybody here know what the Omegaverse is?
No. What is that?
Oh, dear.
Urban Dictionary.
Oh, honey.
I just looked up what pegging is. Is this...
What is Omega? What the fuck?
Later. So anyway,
Right.
sorry.
I just love Cammy going, oh, honey. Like, the way she says it is so nice.
So Cassie knows about this, but I'll explain it, is that I found comments on the Sarazanmai opening last night, and someone was like, this looks like a really wholesome show, but with lots of action. And the first comment that someone said was, "Oh, honey."
Oh.
And I thought it was so good.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, Jesus.
So that's the new brand now. All right.
I just realized that I understood what Omegaverse was, but not pegging until very recently. And I'm very confused.
okay.
What the fuck is Omegaverse? Now I'm like
Oh
really
my God.
curious. I'm
Okay,
gonna be
Dom,
after
before
I'm
you
done.
find...
After I'm done with this impression, I'm gonna have to go
Don't look
it
it up. We'll explain it later.
Oh, okay.
We promise. You
In the
probably don't want to look it
meantime-
up.
I mean, or you could give us your third impression whilst looking up Omegaverse. I don't care.
I don't know. I don't want to. I like this show too much to do that. I don't know what that.
It is your turn, by the way.
Yeah. So
This is such a fun impressions episode. I'm having such a good time.
what the fuck is Omegaverse? Anyways, my third and final show is Kimetsu no Yaiba,
Hype.
Demon
or
Slayer? Yeah.
Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
Kimetsu no Yaiba. The synopsis is as follows. Since ancient times, rumors have abounded of man-eating demons lurking in the woods. Because of this, the local townsfolk never venture outside at night. Legend has it that a demon slayer also roams the night, hunting down these bloodthirsty demons. For young Tanjiro, these rumors will soon become his harsh reality. Ever since the death of his father, Tanjiro has taken upon himself to support his family. Although their lives may be hardened by tragedy, they've found happiness. But that ephemeral warmth is shattered one day when Tanjiro finds his family slaughtered and the lone survivor, his sister Nezuko, turned into a demon. To his surprise, however, Nezuko still shows signs of human emotion and thought. Thus begins Tanjiro's quest to fight demons and turn his sister human again. Alright. So I'm like the pickiest person, I think, when it comes to shonen. I think most of them generally kind of start really slow, and generally I get bored before they ever, kind of hit their stride.
Yeah.
It's a big reason I'm kind of scared to watch My Hero Academia, because I feel like that's going to be one season of me being like, eh. But, oh man, this show is my jam.
It's good.
This is
It goes.
my fucking jam. There's no slow points. They even have like a training episode, and even the training episode is like really well done and really engaging. It's just good. I mean, it looks great. Ufotable, who avoids paying their taxes.
Fuck them.
They do a really good job animating this show despite the fact that they don't pay taxes. So, thanks for that, I guess. It even has like this distinct art style, and there's this thing the main character Tanjiro does when he like uses his sword, where it like glows with like this crazy water effect, and it just looks like something out of a Japanese like painting.
It's awesome.
It looks
Cool.
I
so
need
good.
to watch this.
John, you do. This is such a you show. You will love it. I
And
think it's an everyone show. It's just really good.
It's just really fucking good, and it's also hitting like the dark moments really well early on too. Like the last episode that just aired, episode 4, like had this moment where he was fighting this demon, and the demon was talking about these people that he'd killed. But instead of like grotesquely showing what he had done, it would like, as he was recounting what he had done to these children, it would like show like a silhouette of him like basically maiming them like really badly, and it was just like this really cool directional choice that I really liked. And there's just so many like small cool things about this show, and I'm so excited to watch it every week. I even bought the first volume of the manga because I was like, yes.
That's how you know it's good.
This
they
is
bought
my
the
jam.
manga. They didn't read the manga online on my app that they probably could have.
Yeah.
They went out and physically purchased
I
something.
wanted the physical book, okay?
Yeah, I have the Shonen Jump app. They could have read it on my phone, but they're like, no.
I don't want to do that.
I want those crisp pages.
I want that new manga book smell, I want to smell that page.
Yeah, that's something you don't get with the apps. It's sad.
Yeah, and so this, and then when I did when we did the bottles, the picks, the episode where it was confirmed that I got this. You know, that thing we do.
Mm.
When I did that, we brought up the person who does the music, Goshina, my man, my boy.
Yeah, Yuki Kajiro is also involved.
Yeah, and the episode 4 when he was fighting the demon like had this music track that was just so Goshina, and I was like, yes, that's my boy. I can hear him right now. Ah, I love this show. Anyways, you should watch this show. It's good. It swims. It swims.
It swims.
It swims through the great blue ocean that, you know, he uses for his sword effects or whatever. I don't know. It's good. Go watch it.
You don't actually have to say what it swims in.
I did it. I did it because this show is amazing. It's wonderful.
It is. It's very good.
Yeah, it's like, I just watched episodes 4 and 5 today, and man, it, as Dom said, it's pacing, it's polish, it is firing on all cylinders, and it's got style. Like this, the characters are unique, the circumstances are very interesting. Like, it kind of subverted my expectations from episode 1.
Oh yeah, and the sister, she can't speak because they put like a scroll in her mouth because it's supposed to like seal, like make her not be like crazy demon or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just fucking adorable because she can't speak. So cute. She's so cute, and she like hides in a basket because she can't she can't go in the sunlight or she'll die. And she's fucking adorable. You just like, I want to protect the sister.
There's also head pats in the show.
There's head pats.
Good head pat.
Tanjiro is actually a really good boy. Like, legit.
He is a good, pure child. I just want to see him succeed.
Yeah.
I hope nothing bad happens to him. Something bad will probably happen to him.
Yeah.
Something bad happens to him in the first episode.
Well, I mean, like, him
Worse.
specifically. Like, you know.
Like he get hurt or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't hurt him. He's a good child.
Good children get hurt in this world.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, shit.
Especially in a world filled with demons. I am so emotionally attached to the show. I watched this show. I think I was drunk when we watched the first episode.
You probably were.
Yeah, you were.
And I looked at Dominic at the peak of drunkenness after we watched it and was like, you got the best show this season. And, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that statement now. I think it's one of the best. But we could have a competition of what the best one is, because I hadn't watched Carole on Tuesday or Sarazanmai at that point, but I think those 3 are probably my tops.
Very strong.
It's
contenders.
a strong season, surprisingly. Kimetsu no Yaiba is way up there. Oh, it's so good.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. And I do think it's one that, Cassie, was it you who said it's like an everyone show?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think that as long as you're not startled by blood.
There's a bit of, you know, gore and stuff and blood and everything.
Not too visceral,
but, you know,
though.
It's not like super like really, really bad, but I mean, it is there.
It is kind of visceral, actually.
At some points, not like overly so, but there are times where it's used to, you know, for that effect.
But it's there for a reason. It's not gore for porn's sake, you know. It's there to add to the story and to explain just how tragic the situation is. And I think that literally people who like shonen will like this. People who like battle shows will like this because the action choreography is good. People who like really good music will like it because it's got really good music. People who just love animation will love it. People who like anime will like Kimetsu no Yaiba.
Yeah, I very much agree. I think we're on episode 3 and we need to catch up, but like, it says so much that all of us that have seen it so far really love it, and John's like, I need to check it out, and I'm sure you will also love it when you watch it.
I just haven't had the time to yet.
It's a good pick. I'm excited. I am far more excited about Dom's pick than the next show that I get to talk to you about. That's called Mayonaka no Occultic Koumuin, or Midnight Occultic Civil Servants, I believe is what it's called on Crunchyroll. To start us off with a synopsis, Miyako Arata is newly assigned to the Shinjuku Ward's Office Nighttime Regional Relations Department. Each of Tokyo's 23 wards has one such department established to mitigate paranormal and occult-related events. Arata's special skill is in understanding non-human speech, and the story begins with him encountering a yokai at Shinjuku Gyoen Park, who refers to him as the legendary Heian-era exorcist Abe no Seimei, which is funny to say very dramatically. Okay, I This show is like one of the most forgettable things that I have watched in like years. The animation is so bad. It's so stiff. The proportions are off. It looks completely lazy and like terribly done in some scenes. The character designs are uninspired. God, in the first episode, there's like a turf war going on between Tengu and angels, like straight up like very like I don't know, like Valkyrie angels in like European paintings. And they literally look like giant sized like blonde women with wings, and then the Tengu are like teeny like people with crow wings. Like, it's just so bad, and it's like goofy looking, and it's awkward, and I don't give a shit about any of the characters, and I very much I think episode 3 I had to come back to, and I like forced myself to be engaged in episode 2. I could barely tell you what happened because it's so uninvolved, and I think a lot of it for me does come down to the animation. It's a very dull color palette, and it's just so stiff and bad, and I didn't like looking at it. That was a big shame. Yeah. It's like you don't like looking at it, and then the fact that it has kind of a weird story is a weird story that I can't get attached to just means that it doesn't do anything. I was talking to Mandy over at AAA Podcast because it's a show that we both have, and she mentioned something that I'm going to try to implement, where she said she at least liked to find something good within a show to talk about. And the something good that I do like in this show is that later you find out that the main character who can talk to yokai and non-human spirits, he had like his old form before he was reincarnated was friends with a spirit called like the Black Coyote, and it's revealed that the Black Coyote is actually based on an Aztec god, like part of this lore that is never, is something you see in anime. I like the fact that they went a little bit international and decided to have something from like another culture. That was cool. That was neat. Is it enough for me to keep this show? Absolutely not. This show is going to sink into some concrete that hasn't fully solidified yet.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, there we go.
It's just awkward. They're just like halfway through the process.
That's how the animation feels a lot of the time.
Half-baked.
Yeah, half-baked, half-cemented. Ugh, there we go. All right, Craig, please bring us something better to talk about.
Well, unfortunately for you.
Oh no.
No, sorry. This is the show that I kind of forgot I had and then watched last minute. Don't know if that's a positive or negative thing. I just was really enamored by Ikuhara this season, y'all. The last show for Impressions is the PA Works show Fairy Gone, which, by the by, I didn't remember PA Works is involved with this production until I watched the opening, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot they were involved. Let me tell you the synopsis here. Quote, once upon a time, fairies were tools of war. The story takes place in a world where fairies possess and dwell within animals, giving them mysterious abilities. By removing these organs of a possessed animal and transplanting them into humans, fairies can be summoned as an alter ego and be used as a weapon. Such individuals who used fairies as war tools were called fairy soldiers. Once the war was over and they completed their roles, the soldiers lost their purpose. Some began working for the government, some joined the mafia, and others became terrorists, and each chose their own way to live. 9 years have passed since this great war of unification. The protagonist, Marlia, a new recruit of Dorothea, an organization which investigates and suppresses fairy-related crimes. Amidst the unstable political situation, criminals with lingering wounds from the war and past conflicts emerge and engage in terrorism as an act of revenge. This is the story of fairy soldiers fighting for their own justice in a chaotic post-war world. Okay, this show is being dubbed by Funimation. I just want to give shout-outs to Ian Sinclair. He voices the main guy in the show. His name is Free. I described this show to Dom yesterday when we had lunch as post-World War Europe mixed with Persona or JoJo's. Other people are drawing these comparisons as well, because literally they touch their heart, it makes a beating noise, and then they summon them from behind each other. So far, I will say, the story really hasn't started yet, and the reason behind this, and I didn't realize this until today, and I did some digging on this, is this is the 24-episode show. So it really hasn't picked up steam in a lot of regards. The main premise of the show so far is, this girl, Marlia, joins the Mafia in order to go undercover to find her BFF, Veronica. As children, they left their village because their village elder decided to burn down the village. Why? We have no rhyme or reason for this yet. It'll probably be revealed in the halfway point. She tries to find her friend and then winds up merging with the fairy directly rather than having an organ transplant. So she's quote unquote fairy possessed, and she joins Dorothea as essentially a lapdog, a government lapdog, to essentially again stop illegal crimes dealing with fairies with terrorism. So far it just seems pretty run of the mill when it comes to its presentation. It's fine. Again, going back to serviceable. The fairies are essentially CG personas, and outside of that, the only thing of note that I will say is the music and the opening is performed by the band No Name, and it's really interesting when you have this show that is like set in like a post-World War sort of thing, and you have this Japanese J-rock music insert song playing in the background. You're like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like, I didn't realize this was so self-aware that it was anime. So I guess, bottom line, this show sinks because really, I think there are better shows that are worth your time in the grand scheme of things. While this is PA Works, I think PA Works has done better. I will admit that. They've done worse. Hey, glass slip. But at the same time, I just think that it's fine. Unlike One Punch, I will not be continuing this show because I really don't have much of an investment. And right now, it's I don't. I'll just say this: if people, the zeitgeist or the sphere around this show says, like after a certain point says, "Yo, the show is actually baller," I may go back to it. But for right now, it seems pretty by the books. And Zach described this as a JRPG turned into an anime. Like, it seems like a generic JRPG subplot. Cass told me yesterday, it's not, quote, "it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, or it's forgettable, but it's, again, something you can look past in service of other shows."
The description you've given it does sound like Shin Megami Tensei game.
Yeah, kind of.
Not Persona.
Yeah. So what does this sink into? This sinks into oh god, I don't know what it sinks into. It sinks into a depression after a war, and the fairy soldiers don't know what to do with their life, and they join organizations to find the purpose and meaning, despite it being work for the government.
Yeah, I feel like this one, before it premiered, I had seen a lot of like promotion, and I know that people had a lot of high hopes for it, but really since it's dropped, I haven't heard a single thing.
Yeah, same.
So, yeah. Now I kind of see why. So thank you for that insight.
Yeah.
Okay. John, what do you have up next?
All right.
What does he have?
Good question.
Oh, good. You know what? Give me that good onigiri.
I have Fruits Basket.
Two people are already invested heavily.
So the synopsis of this goes: after a family tragedy turns her life upside down, 16-year-old high schooler Toru Honda takes matters into her own hands and moves out into a tent. Unfortunately for her, she pitches her new home on private land belonging to the mysterious Soma clan, and it isn't long before the owners discover her secret. But as Toru quickly finds out when the family offers to take her in, the Somas have a secret of their own. When hugged by the opposite sex, they turn into animals of the Chinese zodiac. So, Fruits Basket got the Brotherhood treatment. Only, that's a bit of an understatement, because the two look so drastically different from each other. But that's not a bad thing. I actually really like the new art style. I think it's still close enough that you can recognize the characters. They're still recognizable to the original. I think if you did try to just adapt the original art style into something new, it would look probably a bit janky. Not that I didn't like the original art style, but I still just really like this new art style. That being said, seeing all of these like recognizable scenes is just nostalgia through the roof, and just all the feels coming back. Every single episode I've watched has just been such a joy, and I don't have any attachment to the dub because I didn't watch it dubbed the first time I watched it. I watched it Japanese with subtitles, so I'm watching it Japanese with subtitles again. An all new cast compared to the original, in Japanese anyway, and there's reasons for that. But it's been so long that I can't remember what the characters originally sounded like, to be honest. But everyone is fitting their character, and it's such a joy to watch. And Rie Kukumiya is in this with a very fitting role. I could just sit here gushing for days, to be honest, about this series. There is one nitpick I have about this series, and it's the nitpickiest of nitpicks I could come up with. And it's that when the Somas do transform, there's a puff of smoke.
Yes.
Is that bad?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that either.
And it's like CG
it looks really weird.
Smoke. And it's like the only use of CG in the entire series.
Yeah, it does look a little weird. I think I'll get used to it over time, but it definitely was really jarring, especially with the rest of the show looking so polished.
Now, here's
Mm-hmm.
a question for you and Cammy, Cass. Did they do that in the old one, or is it just 2D poof?
They have a 2D poof in
Okay.
the original.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it was just like a white poof too, and
Yeah.
now they
It's
Now
color
they
coded.
by their
colors.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
which I even would be fine with the color coded if it was just a regular 2D poof. It just used to be a little poof of smoke. You don't need to CG animate it. So yeah, I agree. It kind of frustrated me a bit.
Yeah, it feels like a weird piece in something that otherwise just like flows so well together for the production. Yeah.
That is literally the only thing about this series that I'm like, why? But everything else is so good.
Zach says about the show, everyone needs a hug. Like, the direction of the show is different from the original.
I was so excited when Zach texted me and said he liked Fruits Basket, and then he said it again recently in a call, and I was so happy that Zach likes Fruits Basket. I am so fucking happy that Zach loves Fruits Basket. Ugh.
It's deserved. It's just so good, and
It's
I
such
think
a good
that,
show, and like
Yeah.
some people don't want to try past the first episode.
It wasn't really my thing.
I think that like what is mind-boggling to me, because it's been so long since I read or watched the original Fruits Basket, is that I took for granted how many things that it does super well that I don't see in a lot of shoujo today. You know? And so having it resurrected and like with that polish really just makes me think like, damn, yeah, this did so many good things.
I'm so excited. Ah.
Did you finish the manga, Cassie?
Yeah. Many years ago,
Okay.
though, so I'd have to go back and probably reread it. But
I did not, so I'm excited for that.
Fruits Basket was one of those things that I was obsessed with in high school. It was like one of my favorite things, and I was super quiet and soft and I guess nice back then, so my friends actually called me Toru as a nickname, and it was very fun. And I love Fruits Basket a whole lot.
Fruits Basket's good shit. While I can't say that people called me Toru, and that is so adorable. Can I call you Toru now, Cassie?
Sure, go for it.
I also just remembered mentioning Taro. One of the oldest anime bits of merch I have is a like rubber Taro key strap, and of
Nice.
all of the ones that I've hung onto my bag, because I've hung many on my bag, Taro is the only one that is still hanging on my bag and has not broken on me.
Nice. That just shows that it surpasses its excellence beyond its years. That's awesome. Cool. All right. Cassie!
I believe it is my turn.
You are correct.
Yep.
Yeah,
Round
it's
us
cool.
out.
Channeling a Sarazanmai.
Sada!
Sada!
Time for you to finish this off.
Oh my god.
There it is.
Why are you like this? Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and keep this short and sweet and to the point because we are running a little bit long. My last one is Bokutachi wa Benkyou ga Dekinai, also known as We Never Learn.
Bokuben.
It is, or Bokuben. It is a fun little romp. Let's go ahead and jump right into the synopsis. His late father always said that a useless man should strive to be useful, so to that end, third-year high school student Nariyuki Uiga, I can't pronounce his name, dedicated himself to becoming a high school achieving student in his school despite his history of poor grades. In order to give his destitute family a better life, his ultimate goal is to obtain the special VIP nomination, a prestigious scholarship covering all future university tuition fees. Although Nariyuki could feasibly be a shoo-in for the nomination, he is constantly overshadowed by his classmates Rizu Ogata and Fumino Furuhashi in mathematics and literature respectively. To his delight, Nariyuki receives the nomination, but there's a catch. He has to tutor his two-star classmates who are each hopelessly mediocre at the other's subject of expertise. To make matters worse, the subjects they're horrible at are the same subjects they want to pursue for their future. As the time to submit university applications draws nearer, Nariyuki must find an effective tutoring method for the girls before it's too late. So, I read the manga of this on my friend Andrew's recommendation because he tends to know, because I've been friends with him for years, like since, 2000. It's been almost a decade since me and Andrew have been friends, and he recommended me this manga, and I read the manga, and I loved it, and it was super cliche, but like in the best way. It had a charm to it that I really enjoyed and found endearing. And so when I heard that this was getting an anime adaptation, I was so excited, and I'm really just kind of disappointed. There's a couple things about it. One, it's one of those things where it doesn't have the same magic that the manga does. It's also not as pretty to look at as the manga. The animation is very stiff, and for once it has an opening that actually looks worse than the actual animation in the show, which I didn't even know was humanly fucking possible. But the opening is really bad. The ending creeps me out because it starts with a bunch of mouths moving. And the production in the show is just extremely mediocre, and I'm sad because I feel like if it could have gotten a better production, it may have shined a little bit more. Though another thing that really bothers me, and I guess it's kind of like John's situation with Senko-san, where in the manga it doesn't hang on those annoying bits that may come across as eye-roll inducing or just plain creepy. And that includes, looking at the girls in a very, male gaze kind of light. Or boobs brushing up against shoulders. Or accidental falls into places in the dark. And
Wacky hijinks!
And stuff like that. And like stuff like that in the manga was over in 2 seconds, but in the anime it goes on for too long. And I'm not as forgiving as John is, and it just frustrated me, and I'm disappointed. I can't swim this anime. So I'm going to go ahead and sink it into the blood, sweat, and tears that I exuded when studying for my own exams in high school and college, only to get a piece of paper that is worthless.
Oof.
Ooh.
Ain't that the truth?
That is.
Whew.
Whew.
School is an institution of slavery.
I mean, it is.
But
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sink this one. But with some positive notes, can I go ahead and roll into the good news, Cammy?
Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
The good news is because we failed and sank a lot of shows, we have these cool things called lifeboats, and they pop up every once in a while. I can't remember what our previous lifeboats were. Wasn't Honda-san one of them?
Honda-san was one. Place Further, I think, was technically one.
A kind of like a lifeboat.
It was a
I think
request.
It was a request from Rin. But yeah, so I have a lifeboat for us today, and that is Hitoribocchi no Marumaru Seikatsu, and it is about as follows. Hitoribocchi suffers from extreme social anxiety. She's not good at talking to people, takes pretty extreme actions, is surprisingly adept at avoiding people. Her legs cramp when she overexerts herself, gets full of herself when she's alone, will vomit when exposed to extreme tension, and often comes up with plans. Now she is entering middle school, and her only friend, Yawara Kai, is attending a different school. This leaves Bocchi alone, surrounded by new classmates whom she must make friends with before Kai will talk to her again.
Same.
So this doesn't explain it very well, but her only friend, Kai, before they go into middle school, basically says, I know that I'm your only friend, and I hate that. So until you go and make friends with everybody in your new class, I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
A little bit. But in her middle school mind, it probably was her thinking she's doing what's best for her friend and trying to make her
Get over your social anxiety, kid. You got this.
To be fair, it sets up for a pretty wholesome romp. And I don't mean wholesome with an asterisk next to it saying, oh, there's a couple scenes that are pervy, but overall it's a wholesome... There are no asterisks here. This is a purely wholesome show. And I think that we could probably use it after some of the stuff that we're probably going to have to watch later on anyway. Not that's going to be bad, but that might be a little bit more heavy. I think that balancing out our palettes with heavy versus light stuff like this will be a nice touch. Also, the show is nicely animated. It's really cute. Its opening is fantastic. And I think we'll have a nice little romp with it. So I'm going to go ahead and lifeboat Hitoribocchi.
Awesome.
Yay! Woo!
Woo!
To give us a quick recap on what we sank and swam, we sank Ultraman, Mix, One Punch Man Season 2, The Wise Man's Grandchild, Shoumetsu Toshi, Ao-chan Can't Study, Mayonaka no Occultic Koumuin, Fairy Gone, and We Never Learn. In contrast, we swam Aikatsu Friends, Kagayaki no Juru, The Helpful Fox, Senko-san, Carole and Tuesday, Sarazanmai, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Fruits Basket 2019, and Hitoribocchi no Marumaru Seikatsu.
Woo!
So we got a pretty good lineup going. Yeah, I feel like we definitely started our first round kind of mediocre, but then we definitely got into some good stuff. So that's exciting.
7 shows.
We have 7 shows. So that's not bad.
Not bad at all.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. So I know that we are very excited to get to those at a later date. If you are excited about getting in touch with us, let me hit you with some social links real quick. So if you want to catch up with us on Twitter, you can do so at twitter.com/AnnieChatbox. You can send us an email at anniechatmail@gmail.com, and you can listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, or YouTube. If you're feeling charitable of any sort, you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/AnnieChatbox. Funds definitely help us in going a long way to get a better sound quality overall. We're finally rounding up the process of getting everybody the same microphone, so that is going to do wonders in the future for us and for your ears. And of course, we have to shout out our patrons, Sarah, Corpsian, Carole, Suki, and Paul. Thank you so much for helping us keep the lights on. You save lives. And if you have had... Well, not have had. If you haven't had enough of Craig, You can also check out Craig along with Zach, Pete, and Paul, and special guests. Oftentimes it's actually like me, Cassie, John, Dom. It's actually a lot of us over at Save Our Progress. That's soundcloud.com/saveourprogress. Recently, I can't remember what the episode was, but Dom, you were on for an anime movie night, right?
Yeah, we talked about the Hokuto no Ken movie.
Nice.
Mhm.
Fist of the North Star?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes. Ooh. I have feelings about that show. I should listen to it.
Omae wa mo shinderu.
You've watched that one?
I haven't watched it. I've just seen clips, and I know about it. I guess.
I was about to be so impressed. I
Nani?
didn't last more than like what?
You got halfway through.
Did
Nice.
I?
You watched a decent chunk of it.
Yeah.
Dang,
Did I?
Cassie,
Yeah.
nice.
I don't remember this.
Yeah.
You were highly drugged and on the verge of
Whoa.
sleeping, but yeah.
Oh.
I think at a certain point you were just like, "Yep, I can't process what's going on. I'm going to bed now." And I was like,
Yeah.
I think that was by the time that they ran across the guy with the metal mask.
I just realized that Craig sank all of his anime.
Yeah, I
He
did.
did.
Damn. I don't think that's ever happened before.
Yeah.
Go Craig.
That just shows you the range of the season too, I guess.
I think
But-
me and John were the only ones who passed too.
Yeah?
Yeah, none of us passed all
Yeah.
3.
Nope.
Yeah. Either way, what has also passed is the passage of time, and we've been sitting in here for about 2 hours. So
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and start off the goodbye train. Thank you so much for tuning in again to episode 109 of the Any Chat Box, and we hope that you will tune in again soon.
Woo! Read the We Never Learn manga. It's better.
Read the One
That's it.
Punch.
Oyasumi!
Read the One Punch
So
Man
yeah.
manga.
Watch Aikatsu.
Soya!
Soya! Oyasumi.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, yo.